Hello, everybody, and this is Crom Update number 11, and I have been joined by, for the third time, David Molina, who I have reached out to give a Crom pinup for the revised edition of Crom the Barbarian Collected. David Molina, how are you doing, sir?
Good, Kurt. Yeah, nice to be back. Hello, everybody. Third time. Pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
charm.
how you doing, Kurt?
Third time's a charm, right? Good. I'm excited. I
That's right.
just
That's
I
right.
just recorded. I recorded a update 10 yesterday afternoon with Drawn Sword, who's in New Zealand. So that was at 3 o'clock, and for me, and
Holy
on a
cow.
Monday, was that on a Friday night, and then it's Tuesday morning for him. So it's
Yeah.
pretty
Oh, wow.
cool.
Quite the difference.
Working like that. So yeah. So and then he's got things on the weekend, and or no, his yeah, it's anyhow. But no, things are going really good, really well. I wanted to get an update. I know you've had some holidays and family fun.
Exactly. Yeah.
And as I've been telling everybody and anybody, as much as we want to be as professional, and of course there's a lot of respect that goes with professionalism. um, you know this project's not a high paying job. you know and I don't want any stress on anybody coming in and working
Yeah.
with me on this project. And timing too. As I divulge some of the things I'm thinking for 2024. Man, if you miss a month, that or let's say even an issue or whatever it is, there's always going to be the
Yeah.
next. Because that's what this is really all about.
Okay.
As much as I'm doing Crom the Barbarian Collected, which is revising the pages from these ballpoint pen pages to this more value inking style that I've been working on through the pages I've been doing with Jake Jacobs on Turbo Pit Fighter. I appreciate apologies and all of that, but I definitely don't want you to
Yeah.
feel bad
Okay.
and
Awesome.
anxious. That's the biggest thing, is I don't want anybody to feel anxious, because
Yeah.
I too don't want that in my life. So I'm not going to put that
Yeah.
on
No.
anybody
Yeah.
else. But I appreciate your professionalism, by the way, because you did keep me up to date and going from there. But you have made some movement forward on your pinup, and it looks like
Yeah.
Crom's got some armor.
Yeah. He's got a little armor. I didn't want to go bulky on him, right? uh, I
Right,
want him to
right,
move
right.
around. But yeah, I put some armor on them. I'm still debating on how I want these giants. Maybe they'll just have like a little loincloth. I don't want them armored
Uh-huh.
for, they're kind of savage giants. They don't need clothes.
Right, exactly. So
But no,
you're
yeah,
not
about go ahead.
completely thought out in all the elements yet. So as you're working on this pinup,
No, I'm
you're
not.
literally making decisions in a like, making marks down and being like, nah, I'm not gonna do that, racing it away, and then keep moving, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. And even with this I don't know if you can see this piece up here. It's like a rectangle, right? It's like an overpass.
Yeah.
Um, And so I don't know
Oh
if the setting is
yes.
going to be like post-apocalyptic, right? I can have like a sign right there that has like the name of a street, or whatever. Or I could
Freeway.
just
Enter
do,
freeway.
exactly. Yeah. Or I could just do like the Crom, I could just write Crom back up there. So I'm still not sure because we talked about last time about having the setting in a post-apocalyptic. But if it is, this
Yep.
is another realm, so it's not going to be like L.A., right? But but I thought
Oh
that would have been pretty cool if it
yeah. It could
was,
be a. Oh
right?
wow. See, that makes it even
Yeah,
sweeter. Is like a modern society in another world having an
Yeah.
apocalyptic barbarian set back in time, and then you're getting these like artifacts revealed to you, but they have these similar. Oh
Yeah.
wow! Talk about heavy metal.
Right.
Like that's a very
Yeah.
that's
So
like what you would see in Heavy Metal magazine.
yeah. Yeah. So I'm leaning towards that. I can easily just make these into crumbling, rocks. I can easily do that. But I
Sure.
think that's kind of mundane for
Yeah.
me. I'm
Some
always doing
ruins.
that. So just change it up a bit. Yeah. Just change it up a bit. I thought about that freewheel over or underpass, whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's gonna take me
Right.
about
Right.
a week to finish the well, the pencils.
Okay.
I just they're basically done. They're done. I just really need to
Hmm.
hone in on a few hands here and there. Because when I go into the inking, if it's not like at least 90% done, I'm gonna just screw it up because I'm gonna go in blind basically for the inks, right? So I want the drawing to be there at least 90%, and then I can just do the rest in ink. But the
Now
inking
you're going to
process, it'll
ink
take me a few
on
days.
a,
This doesn't take long.
but you'll ink. You'll not ink over the pencils. You'll make a copy of the pencils, or do light boxing, or what? How will you work the
No,
inks on top of the pencils when they're done?
I'll just ink right over it. Yeah, I'll just ink right
Okay.
over it. And if
Can
there
you
will
make
be no
sure that
screw ups.
you
But
get
if
a
I
high
go,
res? Can you make sure you get a high
um,
res scan of the pencils? Because we might want to put that
sure, sure,
in the
I can do
book
that.
too. I think it'd
Yeah,
be
I can
sweet.
do
I
that.
mean, even at the point you're at right now, yeah, you're. I mean, these pencils already are pretty magical looking.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah,
From
that's good
here.
to know because I'll go in and go ahead and get that high res of the pencils. That's a good
Okay,
idea.
cool.
Before I start inking.
Yeah, at least
But
400 at
yeah,
size.
okay. Let me write that down because I'm gonna forget.
Yep,
Okay.
please do.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So like I said, it'll take me like 2, 3 days to do the inking. Um, but
Okay.
yeah. Well, we'll have this done soon.
Oh, good,
And
good,
I'm
good.
glad you stated
Now,
like no stress because man, I'd be stressing. I'd be
yes.
stressing right now.
Now, no, no. I do have a date of the 20. What am I thinking here? Wait a second. I have it over here. Yeah, the 29th. We have a leap year in February. So we have a 29th of
Oh, okay.
February. And
Yeah.
I'm going to make that the due date for all art. Because I still have a couple more people I want to reach out to. So I still think that's a good month and a half for people to work on
Yeah.
something and get
Okay.
it in. But
You
you'll
you should have
definitely
told me.
be good by then.
Okay, I was gonna say you should have told me it was due in 2 weeks. I could really, really finish
Yeah, I
it.
know. That is now
No,
retracting my statement about professionalism and not being
yeah,
stressed. Artists, myself
yeah.
included, love procrastination. Although
Oh yeah,
I have learned over the years that if I at least make my own date of like due,
yeah,
I will hit that. And usually because
yeah.
like when I
I
was
think
freelance and I needed the money or wanted the money, I'd always try to get the work in earlier to try to get paid earlier. So that was always one
yeah.
incentive, in timing.
Okay, yeah,
But for the most part, even if I gave myself 3 days ahead of the actual due date, I'd still wait till the day before to get it done. So yeah. But yeah, and we're and we'll keep up with each other, not only just
yeah,
through emails, but getting you back on here because the whole thing about making the revised edition was to sort of get myself moving on a whole bunch of ideas that I've been having over the last 30
yeah.
years, and finally bringing
Uh,
them, if at all possible, together. Now, you had mentioned before we got on the air about a question on
Oh, that's right.
Crom's timeline. Do you want to ask that question?
Yeah, yeah. Um, so I think we talked about what Crom's next adventure would be, right? I think it was episode the second time maybe that I was on.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if that was on or off air. Anyways,
Yeah, I can.
let's see. So, let's see. Okay, now my notes here. Well, first, I actually want to ask, how many pinup artists will be featured on the new remastered Crom? If you,
It looks like it's going to be between 8 to 10.
oh wow, okay.
Drawn Sword gave me the same question, and
Mm,
I did make. I've been looking. I have a folder full of people that over the years, and even most recently from like last year, that I've been wanting to work with, but I've been very, very scrutinous.
yeah,
Based on already what I've been able to accomplish with you in Drawn Sword. So it's
okay,
not that I just want to get people involved. I want certain types of people involved. And both you and
yeah.
Drawn
Oh,
Sword,
got it.
you have already an established style. You also have a foot in
Okay.
the genre. So it's not like I would be asking you to reach out of the genre. Out of your
Yeah,
own comfort zone and doing because I just like your style. But the other part of it too
yeah.
is, you have a YouTube channel that you'll be active on, or some also social media to help
Hmm.
promote, as we're moving along, because the larger sense of the projects that I'll be getting into with Crom and the Crom anthology afterwards is the networking. The truth we have to
Okay.
really accept is, out of the comic book world, there's not too many people out there that are into black and white, barbarian magazine comic
Yeah,
stuff.
that's true.
It's a
Yeah.
so I just can't put us in a place where we're like, yeah, let's go to the mass market and see how many thousands of people we can. It's not going to happen. It's just, I know it's not going to happen.
No, no.
Um,
Exactly.
Even in Sword and Sorcery, there's a split in Sword and Sorcery. People who love the original Sword and Sorcery books, like Conan and Kothar and Thungor, uh, um, Thungar, excuse me. They can't stand the comics. They find the comics to be too,
Yeah.
like, I'm not saying everybody, but there's a big divide there. So even you can't even reach that far into, because I do have a couple people I watch. I want to try to see if they would give some feedback or some promos on Crom Collected
Yeah.
and some other material, kind of moving forward. But yeah, that's that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess the question would be, uh, like I'm trying to word it in a way not to give anything away, right? Because if I ask the question, it might be loaded. Um,
Go for it. Go for it. I can edit it out.
okay, okay. Uh, wait, okay, here we go. When Crom reaches God status, does Lala take
Right.
on another role? Like, does she
Wow.
does she like that?
Wow.
Like,
Wow. Wow. So, oh gosh, I can't. Wow, you really did. You really. I see. This is also one of the issues I struggle with in bringing other people on, because both you and Drawn Sword,
yeah,
it, it, you both are, we're all three in alignment with the logic of stepping characters
yeah,
through a story, and knowing that Lala is his sister. um,
yeah,
I had already made this decision, that she's going to have a transformation, and I won't give too much away right now,
mm,
but
hmm,
she'll
yeah,
have a transformation, and as she moves through her own transformation, the space that Crom the Barbarian enters in order to become Crom the God is going to be really predicated on the relationship, how it stands with his sister,
Mm.
which I don't know yet. Like
Oh,
I'm
okay.
just playing. I
Yeah.
have tons of little things written out, possibilities of moving
Yeah.
the two characters away from each other for a time period and growing, and then
Hmm.
having to be almost like forced together. And then there's this like,
Yeah.
you know how like, I don't know if you ever like went, you know, you didn't have a friend, you had a friend, but then for a long period of time you weren't connected, and then you
Yeah.
try to reconnect, and then as time goes on you're like, wow, it's a little weird, you know what I mean, like he's like
Oh,
really
yes, yes, yes.
he's like lost a lot of like his edge, and he's, you know, maybe more
Yeah.
corporate feeling, or conservative, or maybe it's the
Mm.
opposite, you know, he's like, whoa, geez, he's really
Yeah,
liberal, and
exactly.
you know, and so you're like, you know, so like when you were in that phrase, that phase, you know, let's say growing up, you know, definitely from kids growing
Yeah.
up, and then you split and you come back after college or being away for a while, there's that sort of like, ooh, wow, this is a little bit
Yeah.
like shocking, and maybe
Different.
a bit upsetting, but you both have to go on with your
Yeah.
lives. So
Exactly. Yeah.
that's
No,
that's
exactly.
that's the sort of place that I put her in.
Okay. All right. Man, that's cool. So I guess you have been thinking about this, and like you said, you have ideas towards it.
Oh yeah,
Cool.
yeah,
Awesome. All right.
great question
Let's
too.
see. Um, no, yeah, that was my only question there. The other one was what is Crom's next adventure, but I think we talked about that already. Um,
Yeah,
or maybe we
the
didn't.
I am I'm well, it's Crom and the Warlock of Shardor. I'm gonna
Mhm.
re-illustrate.
Oh, that's
So
right.
I've been gonna I'm gonna do a heavier sense of spot illustrations. I don't want to do full page. Like I don't want there to be like a page of text and then an illustration. I want the
Yeah.
2 pages of text to have a flow of like inserted objects and things to help kind of move
Oh,
along,
yeah.
which will also be defining, giving a lot more definition in that world he's in. In other words,
Yeah.
unrevealing the alien or counter world, you know, because it's not even if it's on Earth, it's in a counter historical place because it's already established
Yeah.
that way because it's based on Conan, you know, the between the time when the oceans drank Atlantis and the suns, right? You know, there
Exactly.
was a time undreamed of. You know, so there's this
Yeah.
there's this mythological place and that's probably the number one thing that really engaged young people or people when Conan was introduced in the pulps is when the setup is that way, and Robert E. Howard has all of that freedom to just make shit up and go,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and it
Exactly. Yeah.
catches it. You know, it hooks you. You know, you start helping and embellishing from there, and
Yeah.
yeah, so that's that, and that's based on one of is it 10 sci-fi short story novellas that Gardner Fox did. This was actually the last one. A few before, I think the seventh or eighth one, he also did one called The Sword of the Seven Sons.
Mm.
And I want to play with that as well.
Yeah.
Because Crom in my world is an orphan that is brought up by Lala's father, and of course
Oh, okay.
it's in a prehistoric time, like a jungle
Yeah.
Tarzan kind of like time,
Yeah.
and of course there's mention to, like in my first, you know, claiming Skullbiter, you know, they're standing on these ruins, and Lala's giving him sort of
Yeah.
this history lesson, and then, you
Mm.
know, all hell breaks loose in the neighboring, you know, monkey men tribe, the Simri,
Yeah.
you know, are going on, and then he of course gets the sword Skullbiter from Simri, but he has no understanding of the sword's capabilities, as well as this guy. What was his name? I can't remember his name right now. Maybe he didn't. He was just a chieftain. Um, and he's just running around holding onto it as like an object of power type of thing.
Yeah.
So, I guess they call it Easter egging. You're always putting little
Yeah.
things in there to make people go, what? And I want to keep doing that for a long period of time, and then sort of see where things come in. And I'm hoping somebody like yourself, David, would contribute, in story, their own skew point, because I'm already trying to drag some other peripheral material out there, Gardner Francis Fox and not, into let's say the what do they call it, the lexicon or whatever, the wholeness, the canon, what have you. So I don't have any hard. I don't have, the only thing, like somebody made a joke as a comment on the YouTube channel, and he was trying to be funny in some obscure way, and we both apologized. We both apologized to each other, but he had said that kind of in the sense that this is all a failure because Crom was never a human; he was always a god. And my response was, I think a lot of gods start as humans, and then they're glorified, and that's the angle I was taking. And I said, hey, I hope you just hang with me and see how it goes that way. And of course he was like, oh no, I was just trying to, like that. He's like, no, I really like that, blah, 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 blah. So, there's a little misunderstanding. But that's the only hard line I would be in argument. In other words, like I wouldn't want anybody to just force the godlike thing out there without any type of undercarriage, some kind of support mechanism based on an already established story. That's the only thing. That's the only thing I would be argumentative about. But it would also be fun to see what comes about.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense because, like, let's say you are going to just start him off as a god. I mean, what kind of you can't really build a character. He's already a badass. So what else is there? I mean, yeah, he can have adventures, but it's more interesting if he's just a man and then he becomes,
Well,
he's at least for me. That's
and also too, drawn sword and I have been talking about this, and Crom is a dark god. He's a very nihilistic and existential god. He's not let me pray to him and get favor. If anything, he's like an extremist. He's like a Zeus extremist is almost one of the ways I kind of look at it. In other words, like, hey, let's play with these mere mortals. Let me disguise myself as somebody else. Let me, really, really make it going. And if they can prevail, I will reward them with treasure and, women and wine and song, that type of thing. But, and of course, when you match it with something like Valhalla and Odin, and like just sitting up in Valhalla around a big longboat house, and you're just drinking constantly and eating and fornicating, and, that seems a little more boring than, like, that could be home base. But I would love to see the godlike Crom stories to be him kind of moving through, and you don't even know this dude or gal or whoever it is thing is Crom, and he's upset the fabric of these people's lives in order to cause something to be truthful in the metal of that person's character.
Yeah. Hell yeah. That's sick. Is there like an ultimate baddie in this? Or
Crom.
Or how are you playing with that? He's the ultimate baddie. Nice. So it's going to be quite a change.
Well, no, actually, There's another, I don't want to give too much away, but there is a character
Okay.
named Norliathan in Crom and the Warlock of Shardor. And this entity is the key to moving Crom from dumb barbarian into
Hmm.
existential nihilist barbarian.
Okay.
Into, and then
All right.
it'll keep moving him through the fabric of how life changes around him, and forces him to be uh, darker and darker.
Yeah. Cool.
But that's, yeah, I want that to be a good reveal, because that's,
Yeah. Nice.
it's really cool. It's that was like when I first got a hold of the Crom the Barbarian, and then I wanted to keep Gardner Francis Fox's voice alive, and I got a hold of, I put them away. Planet Stories, I think it's May 1952, and
Hmm.
he is the cover story, which is called Warlock of Shardor, and
Yeah.
it's it is just so off the wall. But in a it could, if you push it, if I push it, if I
Hmm.
push it a little bit further, as I'm hoping to do, it's creepy.
Yeah. All
Like
right.
it
Nice.
it's gonna be it's gonna be
Yeah.
creepy, which will bring in the cosmic horror thing. That's the other thing I
Mm-hmm.
have yet to figure out. And I'm hoping guys like
Yeah.
yourself and Drawn Sword, and some other people that I want to bring in, you have, some like some good thoughts on
Yeah.
how to do good cosmic horror. That I think is going to be the
Oh yeah.
secret.
I'm into that. Sick. All right. I mean that
So
those
let
are all
me
my
give let
questions,
me give you good. Let me give you a heads up on where I'm at
Okay.
in the 2024 Crom Collected and Crom Anthology. So, do you know
Okay.
about Virgin covers? Do you know about? Have you heard about Virgin covers?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so in a lot of comic book crowdfunding, they end up doing variant covers, but
Yes.
the title is on there. Well, this has been happening for I think a couple of years now, where they just do the art. So it's I did this
Hmm.
for my book, the Crime Collected, where I just wanted to see my scratch board, and then even when I saw it, I
Yeah.
gave it an update, and then I threw, and then went ahead and did it again. Um,
Hmm.
but I'm giving all the pinup artists are going to get a limited edition uh, Virgin cover. And when I do I'm not doing a crowdfunder. I'm going to be
Okay.
doing a release of the finished book, quote unquote books, because there'll be different
Yeah.
variant versions of the books that people can get off of cromthebarbarian.com. So if you're on the YouTube channel, go into the description, hit Crom the Barbarian link to the .com, and join, do the subscription, because I do a weekly blog. This is part of a weekly blog to keep people up to date on the movement of all of this. But for um, only the month that I will be releasing at a discount the actual retail book, there'll be an exclusive um, limited edition of each of you guys's um, pinup as the book, and then once the month's over, nobody will be able to get a hold of that book.
Right on. That's sick. I
Okay,
like that
so I
idea.
really want to give you guys, some like real legitimate props, and then of course I'm putting issues in your hands, so
Yeah.
you'll have, if somebody did want a copy and they came to me, I would say, hey, if you really like that David Molina Virgin cover, you have to go to David Molina and get that. So that's one of the other
Okay. Okay.
processes that I want to have, is I want you guys to be able to have that like, the community is revolving around cromthebarbarian.com
Yeah.
and the updates, but it also has satellites, which are like you and Drawn Sword, and the like.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. That's
did
really
you
cool.
see? I got. Ken Landgraf has done a pinup.
Holy cow, you serious?
Yeah, it's on
That
its
is
way.
sick.
If you go to you go to look up Ken Landgraf on YouTube, and it'll
Oh,
say
yes. Okay.
inking Kurt Bruegel's Crom the Barbarian, and he does 20
Wow.
minutes where he's inking Crom the Barbarian.
That
So,
must be a
and
new
then I
video,
want to.
right?
Yes, it was a couple of days ago, like 3 days ago. I'm really
Ah,
hoping
okay.
to
Yeah.
see the art very, very
Awesome.
soon. And I am going to reach out. Do you remember um, Alcatina, who did when
Alcatina.
they did Savage Conan? Remember the Savage Conan magazine? They did like, I think, 18
I,
issues or something. Um,
yeah.
It was the magazine, black and white magazine. They were re-releasing it, and he did a reimagining of Conan, and it's he did issues 1 through 6. Well, on Instagram, I
Okay.
was looking for Crom art, like anybody else who's been working on Crom, and that exact
Yeah.
day, Al Catina put up a Crom a drawing, an ink drawing that he was working on.
Yeah.
So I reached out
Dang,
and
wow.
said, is this for a project or is it a commission? And he goes, well, I'm just
Yeah.
working on it right now. So I'm hoping maybe to
Mm.
license that image or try to get an image from him to do a
Yeah.
pin
Yeah,
up
that's
and a
sick.
virgin cover from him.
Yeah.
And then I have 3 other people, 4 maybe. A couple people
Mm.
unfortunately had to decline because they're just too busy and they're on projects. And once again,
Yeah.
great. That's a good thing to hear. And once things are moving and you can jump in, that's going to be totally acceptable. Um,
Cool.
but other than that, the other thing I've been working on is the actual time frame. So I'm thinking of
Yeah.
that month of May is going to be when the books will be available. So and then
Okay. Yeah.
the revised will be um, at a discount to just get a hold of it for that period of time, and then it'll be in the mass market, if you will, on Amazon and the Crom the
Mm.
Barbarian website at retail, which will probably be about $15, but I'll put it at discount.
Yeah. Nice.
But your guys will actually be at $15, and yeah, and so people will have an opportunity to get that. Then I'm thinking September would be the release of Crom Anthology. So there would be
Yeah.
about you know and this is also where I want to end this conversation with you today, um, David, is that I don't want you guys to think that this is like, okay, thank you for the pinup, see you later. I want you to keep doing what you're doing, and we're going to keep in contact. And then, because I want to get you guys in the anthology, because the anthology is going to be a promo type of book.
Mm.
So
Mm.
if you're working on a 16-page story and it's going to be in your comic that's either out or coming out, then let me have 7 pages and let's tease them, and then
Awesome.
put a
Okay.
big
Yeah.
page in there
Mm.
telling who you are and a QR code to be able to get to your website to be able to purchase that. And that'll be one of the things, as well as it would be like, this is how I've been thinking about it. And this is when I was talking to John Sword
Yeah.
last night about it. And he helped me really get to this point. The first, let's say if it's a 100-page magazine or thereabouts, the first 20 pages, if that, will be Crom related. Maybe more, maybe
Mm-hmm.
25. Then the rest of it would be called, we would think of as like backup features. So these would
Okay.
be
Yeah.
then this would be you guys putting in your stuff that's in the same wheelhouse as Barbarian, a post-apocalyptic, off-world sci-fi
Okay.
stuff. So
Sick. Sick.
yeah, so
Nice.
that's as much as
Oh.
I can say without putting myself in a ringer where then people are yelling, screaming at me. Oh, you said, Kurt, in episode
Right.
11 You
Yeah.
have to stay. Now, you got to stay fluid. You got to have ideas. You got to put timelines and due dates, but you also have to live your
Yeah.
life and not be anxious all the time about getting that stuff.
Exactly.
But
Yeah. No,
that
yeah,
is
that's it
what
sounds
I
like you've been
have.
busy,
That
man.
is
You've
what
been
I have.
busy. Yeah.
Yeah. Always,
Cool.
always busy between this
Right
and
on.
Turbo Pit Fighter, and some other little projects that I
Oh,
got
that's
going.
right. You also have Turbo
Yeah.
Pit Fighter. Yeah. Right on.
Yes. Yeah. We're working on we're right now, we're probably about a month away from having a proper teaser number 2 done. Um, Tomorrow,
Sick.
Jake and I get together and actually officially put final touches. I have two pinups to ink. I just finished. I just finished these 2 spot illustrations. These are spot illustrations drawn by
Oh, sick.
Jake. This is Mrs. Ike. This is Mr. Ike.
Yeah.
This is a major character in the Team Turbo, and then this is
Yeah.
his crazy wife. This is Mrs. Ike.
Holy
Uh,
cow, that's awesome.
and then yeah, and so we've got it'll be an additional um, 6 pages to the first 6 pages, and so it'll be what are we saying? It's going to be an 18-page. Yeah, I think an 18-page teaser, and we're going to
Nice.
get it printed with a company. So we'll actually, it'll be a
Okay.
little bit better in printing. But I'm still going to hold myself to the yellow, the cream colored.
Yeah.
This I love this cream
And
color.
it's still
It's
a
hard to see.
magazine
My camera's a
format?
little blue. It'll still 11 by 11 by 8.5 by 11. Excuse me.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, 11 by 17
I love
format.
that format.
So yeah.
All right. Cool.
So, but that is all I have. Is there anything else you got before we let these people get back to reading comics, making them if they do, David?
No, that's it. That's all I have.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to seeing some further completion on your pinup and staying in
Yes, sir.
touch.
Okay, will do. All right, Kurt. Nice to be here, and you have a good day.
All right. You too, David. Bye.